Hey, what up squad, it's your boy K-Flow. In this video, we're going to be installing the side curtain airbags, the module, and the mid console. Now let's get this thing started. So this is part 5 of getting the Taco back on the road, guys. And if you're new to this series, let's just say on my last adventure, things didn't exactly go according to plan.
That's fine.
The most out of the stuff.
So in this series, we're going to be fixing the truck and also make things a little bit better. And just to give you guys a quick recap, in part 1, we did remove the front seat belts as well as the side curtain airbag module. Those parts were sent to a company called Airbags.com, and it actually went really quick. I sent it out on a Friday and it came back on a Friday, so I was really happy about that. And in part 2, we did remove the headliner and cut out those deployed side curtain airbags. In part 3, we did replace that damaged side view mirror. And in part 4, we installed sound deadeners on the roof, and it was a huge difference. And in this video, we're going to be installing the side curtain airbags, the module, and the mid console. Now let's get to work. So we're here at the rear seat pillar, and we'll have to remove all this trim in order to get this upper bracket of the airbag off of the frame. So let's get to that step right now. So first we'll start with removing this cover. Here I'll just use a knife and get underneath the top. And that pretty much should come right out. This was damaged before, that's why the tab here is broken. But if you've never taken this off, it should attach at the bottom like this. And now we can take off the 10mm bolt that holds the upper portion of the trim. So you'll probably notice that I already have the back panels removed, and I do have a separate video for that, guys, and I'll link that in the description below. So if you want details on the removal of the back panels, make sure you check that out. So now we're going to pry up this lower trim slightly so we can undo the two 10mm bolts under here. We don't have to remove it completely. All we really need to do is access those 10mm bolts. And this should be enough. I'll show you guys what I mean. Those are the two 10mm bolts down there, guys. So now we should be able to carefully pry this up. And these are just held on by clips at this point. There we go. So now we do have a few 10mm bolts we gotta remove. We gotta remove this 10mm bolt here that was hidden behind the trim, and the two upper ones right there, 1 and 2. And that removes the rear bracket, guys. So now we could remove the middle section of the airbag here, and just be very careful. And I want to warn you guys, make sure you have your battery unplugged when you do this. So we'll have to undo this harness here. It'll be the same method in terms of removal as the seat belts. So I'll zoom in so you guys can kind of see it a little bit better. So I'm gonna take my knife and pry up that plastic tab. Just like that, guys. And then this harness should just come right off. There we go. And while we're at it, we'll remove this rear bracket here. So here, guys, we should be able to undo this plastic harness that holds this cable bundle. We'll just have to squeeze the front and back side of this, and this plastic piece comes off. And same thing with this one. we'll use needle nose pliers to do that. And that one's not coming off yet. So I'll undo the bolts for now so that it's easier to access that. Now it's just a matter of wiggling this out of position. And right here, guys, we'll just squeeze it. This is actually the sides we have to squeeze, and it comes right out. So here's a closer look at that plastic harness. This one we'll have to squeeze the front and back to get it out, and this one we'll have to squeeze the sides actually to get it out. So now we can undo this 10mm bolt here. This one's taped on, guys. There we go. And that's completely free. Luckily, they're all 10mm bolts. So the last two brackets are also 10mm bolts. Alright guys, first you'll probably notice I put the seatbelt back. That's because I still wanted to be able to use the truck in the meantime. But at this point, make sure that the truck's battery has been disconnected so that this doesn't deploy on you as you're trying to do this work. So we'll start off with this metal section here because it is the heaviest part of the airbags. So there's only 3 10mm bolts that we'll need to install after we mount this right onto the frame. Now it would be good to just go back with a ratchet just to make sure it's tightened properly. And now we could remount the cable bundle as well as reconnect that rear connector. Looks like this was bent down during shipping, so I'm just bending it up slightly. And there we go. That's it. So now we could reinstall the rear portion of this airbag. And it's basically the reverse of what we did earlier, guys. Just carefully place everything in its proper mounting areas. Just like before, it's good to come back with a hand ratchet to make sure everything's tightened down. Now I couldn't really find the specific torque values for these, but if you snug it down enough by hand, it should not go anywhere. And that's the screw I was talking about earlier, guys. So there's the 1, 2, 3, and 4 up here. So now let's put the trim pieces back, guys. We'll start with this upper trim. I'll just make sure we place it properly. I'll line up the holes and then just slam down on those parts where the plastic clip clips the trim to the frame. Then we could put in the two 10mm screws that go on the bottom section here. Now make sure you don't over tighten those two bottom screws because they are just on plastic anchors. Now we could reinstall the 10mm bolt up here. And reinstall the cap. There we go. And now we could also reinstall this trim, this lower trim here. And everything just snaps into place. Just like that, guys. So now we can make our way to the front here and install the front part of the airbags. And now we got two more brackets to install, and that should finish up the side curtain airbags. So that's what it looks like once it's fully installed. So now we gotta install this side curtain airbag module into its proper mounting area, guys. Again, there's 3 bolts to mount this module. There's 2 in the front and 1 on the passenger side rear. So let's get to that now. And we'll use a 12mm ratchet to tighten these things down. For the front, we are going to need to use this ratcheting wrench in order to get under that e-brake cable. And again, I am at the passenger side footwell and accessing it from the side, as you see, so that I can tighten up that bolt. And then we can also push down on the e-brake cable if you lifted it up. Now we'll go to the driver's side footwell and install the last bolt there. Again, we'll use a ratcheting wrench to tighten that up. There we go. Now finally, we can connect the harness. Again, just make sure the battery is disconnected when you do this, guys. So we just push the harness in its spot and then push on this white locking tab to lock it in place. Good to go. So now we can start putting the mid console back, guys. So we'll start with the front end. Just slides right in. Line up the mounting points and everything should just lock back into its proper spot. Then we could put in the shift knob, and then we could put in the rear portion of that mid console, and just make sure you line up the tabs in the front prior to pushing it down. And we could also put in the 2 10mm bolts here at the rear. Definitely be good to tighten them down by hand. And we can also put in the 4 8mm screws. So these are the tabs I'm talking about, guys. It's basically just a slot and a tab that locks these two in place. And these are the 8mm screws that will also need to tighten down. And it's also good to take the time to clean up all the schmegma around the cup holder, because obviously with coffee and whatever drinks that you have, it has a tendency of kind of splashing. So definitely good to clean up around there while you're at it. And those are the two 10mm bolts we also tighten down. So we can put this bottom panel back in. And we can also put the cup holder back in. Done. Now just to wrap things up, guys, those seat belts that I sent out for shipping, as well as the side curtain airbag module, all of that cost was about $262, which was not bad at all. So as far as the side curtain airbags go, guys, I did buy these used from eBay, and they cost about $600, which is a huge savings when it comes to buying airbags, because if you buy them straight out from the dealer, it can range from anywhere between $1,200 to $1,400. And I know a lot of purists are not really gonna like that, but airbags are good for the lifetime of the truck, even if they come from another truck. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. I hope you found it useful. Make sure you smash that like, subscribe, and hit that bell to while you're at it. Until next time, peace out, y'all.